Hello everyone and welcome to Mars Garden Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to save seed from your own dried flowers. I have a few here from my own garden that I want to save. I have collected these in the fall and they are completely dried right now, but if you still have some outside in your garden that's dried, you can go ahead and harvest them to save seed from as well. In fact, it's best to harvest the flower heads for seed saving once they have completely fully dried on the plant and the seeds are fully mature. I have a couple of varieties, different varieties of seeds in here. I have some zinnias, rudbeckia, some straw flowers that I have left to dry here in this basket, and I have some other things that are in bags like some of this marigold. Then I have this from last year that I never got a chance to save seed from, some dill. And also this blue plerum here, after it was fully dried, I put in this jar, but today we're going to clean it up too. Before I start, I want to just mention this dried flower bouquet here. This is from my own garden too, but most of the time it's not good to save seeds from these bouquets over here. With a few exceptions, most of the flowers that you pick to make dried bouquets like this are not fully matured yet. So you take them when they're beautiful and still blooming and colorful, sometimes even before you would cut them for cut flowers for bouquets, for example, and they will either not have formed seeds yet, like the straw flowers, or maybe the seeds will be immature. But there's always exceptions from the rule. I have myself, I'm going to show you here, saved seed from marigolds on this stage and they have germinated. It is recommended that you wait though until they fully dry. I'll show you another example here so it's easy to understand. I have harvested this little bloom when they look like this. After it had completely dried in the plant, it barely has any more petals, and then I can see that the seeds are kind of popping up. They're trying to get out of the pot over here and then fall in the ground and they start a new life cycle. This one, the petals are still pretty tight. They're mostly in here still, but if you do open it up, you see that the seeds in here, which are these ones, I'm going to take them out without the petals. They will be right below the petals. They will look exactly the same as these ones here. So I'm going to just throw but this one comes off a lot easier because they're already fully dried and they're a little bit bigger, so they are more mature. And in my opinion, these seeds are more likely to be viable. They will probably also produce a stronger plant. Even though you can do it, and I have done it that in the past before, I still recommend that you wait for the plant to complete its full life cycle and dry it out before harvesting the heads if you have a garden. The straw flower, for example, this is how it looks on the dried bouquet. So still a little closed in the center, and here's how it looks once they have fully dried and matured on the plant. You see the difference? It has opened the center. It has opened all of these little petals over here, opened the center. The seed got these little fuzzy white things over it, and I'm gonna pull some. And they're ready to be flying around to start a new life cycle too. So when they're like this, I like to just tap it in my hand and the seeds will all fall in here. So straw flower is another super easy one to save seed from. You don't even need to do most chaffing or anything. Very easy as well. I'm also going to put this on the side. So now let's move on to zinnias. Last year I grew some of the floret varieties, the beautiful pale blush peach colored zinnias. The variety that I grew was called Alpenglow, and I couldn't wait for a lot of them to fully dry on the plant because I was moving, so I had to harvest in October, and they still had a little bit of color on them. The best way to harvest the zinnia seeds if they're still on the plant would be to wait for it to get fully brown. So you see that here, this zinnia, even though it's dried now because it's been drying in my garage for a while, it still has a green stem. And this one, in the other hand, it has a fully brown stem. This is the best stage to harvest. You will have more viable seeds if you harvest from this than from this, but it's totally fine to harvest from this too if that's what you have to do. So there's two ways that you can do zinnias. If you only have one flower head and you want to save seeds from your garden, from one head you can get lots of seeds. Let's see how many you can get from this one. You will start by just pulling the leaves out, the petals, sorry. And a lot of the seed will be attached to the end of it. So all of this over here is seed. I'll put in my hand so it's easier to see. Now they're so dry, they just right away will separate in your hands. Once they're a little bit moist, they will stick to the petals a little more. But I'm gonna try to pick one. Oh, I broke it. So you can have an idea. Okay, this one is semi-broken, but this was the petal right here in the arm holding, and this is the seed. This nice pointy shape one. I'm gonna separate them. So that's the seed right here. So that's one, and I have a bunch more in my hand here. And then the second thing you have to do is to see if the seed is viable. So many times they will look like a good seed, but if you press them, they're empty. This one just throws in my hand. So because I harvested them a little earlier, maybe some of them are empty. This one, it's not. This one feels very firm. You can put your nail in there and press against the seed, and if it doesn't bend or anything and you feel that's really hard, then it's good. So you're ready to go, and this is a good viable heavy seed. If you are doing a lot of them, I'm gonna put them here because it's a mix. A good trick to separate them is to put them in a bowl, and instead of just gently pulling, because I'm doing a lot and I have lots of flower heads in here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my hands and just do this, and that will break most of the flower, and then you're gonna end up with this little middle cone here, which for zinnias is good to keep intact. So you be gentle when you are rubbing them against your hands, because if you break this cone, it makes kind of hard to separate from the seed. But it's easy to gently rub them, especially if they are dry. So here's what I kind of have. And now this step's a little messy. If you can do it outside, better. I can't today because it's really cold, so I'm gonna do it at home and just sweep everything after. And you're going to move your bowl and gently blow on it. I hope that we can see. Ooh, I had chaff all over me, which is fine. I did this outside last time and it was much easier. But you can keep doing that for the light stuff to separate. Hopefully the camera is catching because I'm looking at the bowl while I'm doing this. So I'm just gonna keep going and show you the final result. If you're just a home gardener like me, having a teeny bit of chaff in there, it's okay. So that should be enough. Look at that, the difference. Now I have on the bottom of this bowl, all heavy viable seed. And this is only from one seed head. I'm gonna pour in here so you can see how many seeds I got. Handful. If you buy a seed pack, probably this is the amount I get per one pack, so it's pretty cool to get this much from your own garden. I can still see some petals in here. I'll gently pick them with my hands, but to be honest, this batch here, I'm just planning to scatter in the garden, direct sow them, so I'm just going to put them together here and save like this. That's good. Just combine with the other one I already had cleaned out. I'm going to actually do the rest of my zinnia seeds after I finish this video, so it doesn't take too long. So now we can move on to the rudbeckias. So rudbeckias are something that's a bit new to me. These were the Sahara rudbeckia, I think. When they have formed this cone over here, the seeds are easier to take. So now my bowl is clean again. I had already moved my zinnia seeds here. The chaff just blew all over the place, which is fine. Rudbeckia is a bit spiky, so be careful when you're doing this by hand. And it's a bit more difficult than zinnias. It won't come off just as nice as zinnias did, but I kind of like to just get the head and with my hands try to squeeze it or pull it out. It's dried, so lots of the things are gonna fall to the bottom, and you're gonna end up with this cone here as well. And the seeds for the rudbeckia are very small. They're black and small, but you can do the exact same thing to see what's viable or not, but just a bit gentler because they're smaller, so don't blow as hard as you blow the zinnias, let's say, since the zinnias have bigger seeds. I'm going to do this again. And rudbeckias are great because they also usually easily self-seed, they're native, so even though I'm growing the more specialty varieties, they're definitely something that's good to have in your garden. And they give you a lot of seeds. I can see lots of seeds in here already. I already saved lots of my Rudbeckia triloba seeds doing this, and those are the beautiful Sahara Rudbeckias in the India summer. They're mixed in there, so it'll be a mix in the garden. All right. So this one didn't come off as much as the zinnias, but this is totally fine for you to put in your home garden too if you like. I'm gonna put it in my hand, and it's easier to take off the bigger pieces. Then there's not as many. And then the seed, I blew some seed doing that too, but I want it to be a bit more cleaner for you to understand, because not all the seeds here are viable. Some are very skinny and they're not hard, so they won't do anything, but I'm gonna get one that is good. It's too hard to pick one only, but here it is. Most of these ones here are heavy and viable, and honestly just this much would be good for me. I still have a lot more, so I'm going to save this to start inside to have a bit more control, and then I'm going to just break the other ones with the chaff and all and just direct sow outside. So I'm going to get a little paper envelope, and I'm going to just scoop the seed from my hand and put in there. Now I would label it Rudbeckia. I like to put the year in there as well, so just do mixed Rudbeckia 2024, because that's when I picked them, and that's good. I still have a few more here to save, and those are I'm going to use a couple different methods that are a little bit more fun, that can be fun. First, if you have put it in a baggie like this was fully dried before I put in this bag to save. It dried on the plant. This was a Daura Queen Anne's lace. And what I do to save, you can see most of the seeds already fell here to the bottom. I'm just gonna crush it. So if you crush it up and mix around like this is like threshing but contained, most of your seeds are going to fall to the bottom. Also, we're gonna have some chaff in here, some of the dried parts of the plant. So if you wanted the seed to be cleaner, you would grab your bowl, pour this in here, and do the whole winnowing process again. I don't want to do that. I'm totally fine with having a little bit of chaff on this. I'm just going to take it out of here after I finish filming this video, put in an envelope and label it. And then the last way, it's to put it in a jar and shake it after it's very dry. And then most of the seeds will also fall to the bottom. So this is blue plerum. Lots of the seeds fell here to the bottom, and you can just pick up this dried part. We have very little chaff, at least from this plant, and then bag this part over here. See if I could get some of the petals out. And I'll get a little paper, same thing, and I'm going to store it that way. So now I have my jar back. And this one had a tag, so I'm just going to take this tag later and stick it over here so I don't have to label again. And that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish cleaning all of the seed that I have back here. And if you want to see how I organize my seeds for the year, I'm going to link a video here that you can watch next. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time.